One of the biggest hiccups that I've seen with startup clothing lines is being able to build the awareness of their clothing line. We're going to be discussing how to do that in today's episode of Making the Brand. What's up, everybody? My name is Michael the Antro. I am the owner of ECG Graphics and Printing. My print shop is located in Southern California. I'm a print shop owner today because I was a clothing brand owner in the past. I started my journey in this industry back when I was in high school when I started my clothing brand. Through that experience, I fell in love with the printing process and I decided to go all in learning how to print and share my services with different clothing lines and organizations. Through those relationships, I've noticed some tips and some techniques and some tricks that allow for some clothing lines to be more successful than others. And what I want to do is share that information with you. If that's something that you're interested in, please consider subscribing to the channel. You can do that by hitting that subscribe button, also banging on that notification bell. The most common thing that I see with startup clothing lines is they always start with the product first, and then they build or try to build an audience, and then they try to get sales, right? Some of them actually focus on the product, they try to get sales, and then through the sales, they try to get an audience, right? If you don't know how to build awareness, I don't care how great you are at sourcing and creating great products and all that other stuff. It doesn't matter if you're not able to actually build the awareness about what you're doing. There's so many different people that start a clothing brand. Everybody has a clothing brand nowadays, right? I literally just printed products for a grandmother that's 67 the other day. I'm not gonna lie, her products were pretty dope. Saying that to say this, if you can focus on ways of building the awareness, it doesn't matter what product you have today or tomorrow, you can ultimately create any product and get it in front of the right people. Now, awareness is the top portion of a sales funnel, and I believe that every single clothing line or business needs to have a sales funnel. If you want to learn more about how to build a sales funnel, please go up in the cards, and I'll also have it down in the description. I'll have a link to that video where we're talking about a sales funnel. But at the very top of the sales funnel is awareness. That's where you are putting out information and you're trying to get people knowing about what you're doing, because then once they know about what you're doing, then they can start going down that sales funnel and start considering if they want to be a part of your tribe or not. Now, awareness ultimately is eyeballs. How many people know about you? How many people have seen you before? And you're able to build awareness through impressions. And there's three different types of impressions that you can have. So the first one is going to be earned impressions. And earned impressions are your social media followers. You put out content on your social media and you were able to build an audience around what you're saying. So that is earned. You had to earn those people to come in and say, I like what this person's talking about. I like what their vibe is. I like what their product is. I like what their message is. And then they say, hey, I'm going to follow this person, or hey, I'm going to subscribe. The second type of impression is going to be owned impressions. And this is the one that a lot of people neglect. They're so focused on their earned impressions. They're focused on, hey, I have 20,000 followers on my Instagram. And when I drop on Instagram, I'm able to, people go to my website and they start buying. But at the end of the day, you do not own those impressions. You don't own, you have to log into that website. You have to log into that app. You have to stay on that app. You have to engage with people on that app. And then you're asking them, obviously they do eventually come off the app and go onto your website. But at the end of the day, the only way you were able to access that group of people was through that app. So who owns that audience or those impressions? Not you. Owned impressions is impressions that you actually have control over. The best way to do that is by, instead of having that 20K on Instagram, and every single time you do a drop, you do that drop on Instagram and you say, hey, links in the bio or whatever, you send them over to your shop. Why not create a call to action that sends them over to your list? And then they sign up for that list, right? And then instead of doing your drops through Instagram all the time, I'm not saying you can't do drops through Instagram, but what I'm saying is you should want to be able to control those impressions, because if you start building your list, you start building your email list and your text message list, imagine the leverage that you'll have when you're like, hey man, I want to drop Thursday. So then you go in and you say, hey, okay, I'm going to send out a text blast and an email blast to my list of, let's say, 5,000 people. And, That's literally, you didn't have to do anything. Those people, you didn't have to pay for that. You didn't have to sacrifice that. And if you wanted to do that 2 or 3 more times, you don't have to do it under someone else's rules. Like, you can literally do it however you want. So owned impressions, honestly, are the most coveted, and they are the hardest because, you know, getting people off of these platforms and onto your list, like, it's really hard. But let's bring it back to the concept. Ownership, ownership, ownership. That's where you're really going to start seeing your customer acquisition costs go down. And last but not least, kind of refer to this in the last one, but paid impressions. Paid impressions is the easiest way to actually get eyeballs on what you're doing. Now, paid impressions are guaranteed. You're going to pay a certain amount and you're going to get those impressions. If your messaging or your product or even your audience, if all of those things are aligned, you are going to kill it. Absolutely kill it in paid impressions. But it does take time, and it takes maturity in how you've actually built your process of marketing and advertising and what you're saying and how you're saying it and what products actually resonate with your customers. You know, if you don't have those 3 things together, you're going to waste a lot of money and a lot of time. So in order to avoid the stress and the loss of money and resources, this is how you need to think about building the awareness of your clothing line. First, you need to start with earned impressions. So get on social media, get out there, 10 toes on the ground, get out and start talking to your potential customers. See the things that they like. Get some samples created. If you have to go overseas, whatever, go overseas, get some samples. Just test your products and test your messaging. Get that out there. Then from there, you need to have a system in building your list. Okay, so once you've actually engaged with these customers and you engage with these potential tribe members, you always need to think about building your list. Set up a way that you can get the basic contact information for your potential customer. Instead of using platforms, use that list to go direct to your customers. From there, once you're able to figure out what messaging works, now you can go into your paid impressions and you can just double down on the things that work. If you found something in this video, please drop a comment down below. Let me know what you guys think. Let me know if there's anything in here that you need me to elaborate more on. Be impactful, one garment at a time.